On this upcoming attractions, we got a trailer for Cherry, plus our thoughts on WandaVision episodes 1 and 2, plus reviews for Promising Young Woman, Pieces of a Woman, and The Dry. All this and more on Midnight Double Feature. And we're back for another episode of Midnight Double Feature. I'm Matt, and as always, joined here by my amazing co-host Zoheb. Zoheb, how are we doing today?
I don't know about amazing, but I'm good, dude. How you doing?
I'm great. Yes, sorry. He prefers to be called incredibly, fantastically, awesome, and amazing. So yeah.
I mean, come on. Can we dispense with the acronym?
God damn it. Yeah. It's only he was very adamant that we made him a fucking name tag, and it was written under there as a job title. I'm like, Zoheb, it's not a visual podcast. We don't need name tags, but he insisted. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was his Christmas present.
Although sometimes we go visual. Do you want to explain why I would say that?
Yes. So I pieced together a little snipperoonie from our interview with the directors of Gun and Hotel Bible, and we got a cool little thing up on our social medias now, talking about like some highlights and some fun little facts about Scooby-Doo and Home Alone 3. Also, if you guys want to see, so that's got some nice visuals to it and stuff like that out now. And if you'd like to see the entire interview, with the directors in all the nice fleshy faces and beautiful Zoom quality compression there, that is available to our Patreon members on the Green Room. So
yeah,
if you're
completely uncut, like it is completely, you get all of the things, you get all of the, hey, are you guys ready to record? Are you guys ready to do this? And then there's a little bit of like, did her sound drop out? It's completely uncut, completely uncircumcised if you want all of the foreskin. So there you go.
Yes. So you guys get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes, if you will. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked on the actual, the fancy cut that's out on socials, and maybe we'll get more of that in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Besides that, Z-Man, how you been? What you been up to? What's new?
Yeah, I've been good, dude. I haven't been doing too much outside of. I mean, we went back to work after New Year's, and I've been doing a bit of been doing work. Getting ready to start uni again. I just I've still been playing games here and there. I've stopped playing Cyberpunk. And I opted to use PlayStation's offer for a refund because, I mean, it's not terrible on the PS5. I think I said this on another episode. The PS5 version is much like the PC version, where there are barely any bugs, but they are still there. But if I know that CD Projekt Red are working on this game as hard as they are, then they're gonna end up fixing it. Right now, though, I'm just gonna go for the refund, get my $100 back. But instead, I finished Spider-Man Miles Morales. Actually, I finished that today, which was really awesome, dude. Like that game was incredible, and I'm talking just amazing. Really well, like it hits you in the feels. Really fantastic characters. The story itself is very personal. It's very emotional. It's very three-dimensional. It's awesome, dude. I love that game. Other than that, I've been going to the movies. I've been hanging around with the girlfriend a lot, much to the chagrin of the boys, my mates. Yeah, man. Getting ready for our next podcast when we're covering Big Fish. Tim Burton's The Big Fish. That's Colin's pick. Things are happening. Colin and I are recording Breaking Bad episodes as well. Those episodes are going to start releasing from next week. So that's really exciting. We are excited to bring you guys season 2. Because this whole the Breaking Bad thing was pretty much a big kind of like demo. Like it was kind of like, let's see how we go with the first season. We've been very happy with the numbers, and we're gonna keep going. It's been very lucrative, and we've been very lucky to have the listeners that we have. So season 2 is coming next week.
Ooh, it's amazing. Always great to hear. Yeah, man, I think my only criticism really with Miles Morales is I wish it was longer, which is probably more a compliment than a criticism. I do remember at one point getting to that point where it's like, beyond here is the end game. Are you sure you want to continue? And I was like, really already? Because it's so good. But I really love how they introduced that venom mechanic. It makes like the combat even more exciting, which it already was. It just makes me wonder when they make a true sequel to Spider-Man, since they can't really do that for the character, like how are they gonna build upon that for Peter Parker? Like maybe they'll do like a switch, like a thing where you can control both of them. Who knows? But really excited.
There will be a sequel because of the post-credit scene in Miles Morales, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, really teeing up the next one. Yeah, I've been playing mostly Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remake. I'm obsessed with it. As of recently, I'm the top. I think it's the top 21,000. I'm ranked like 21,000 something on
Jesus.
on the first level worldwide, which sounds like a lot, but like I was originally like 49,000th, and I beat out like 20,000 people to beat that. Like, there's a lot of people playing the game. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, and
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I've also downloaded recently the Shadow of the Tomb Raider game. It's free on PlayStation. Yeah, whatever. Enjoying it so far. I'm mostly gone into that because I was playing Watch Dogs Legion before, but I got really bored of that really fast. It feels like
Shadow. Just one second. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the third installment. Are you purposely starting from the third installment, or have you played the other two?
No, I just did it because it's free.
Okay, all right.
Like I'm not particularly passionate about the Tomb Raider franchise, but I have always been curious because I do like the Uncharted games. I understand like they've drawn a lot of influence from that. I do find so far with my experience.
Well, hold on, it's the other way around. You know that, right? You know,
Sorry?
Uncharted took inspiration from Tomb Raider. Like, I mean, Tomb Raider's been going on for decades.
Yeah, well, Uncharted took inspiration for a lot of things. I guess Tomb Raider is one of those, but I think, mechanically speaking, I don't know if it took a lot from Tomb Raider, the old Tomb Raiders at least. But yeah, with the new ones that I'm playing, I'm finding like it feels like I've never said this about a game before. It's almost too scripted, and I usually prefer scripted games. But like, I'm just finding, maybe it's because I'm in the early stages still, but like, I'm just like, there's either these puzzles which are like, I don't like the way the puzzles are because they're usually very obvious, but if you're not in the exact right particular spot, things that seem obvious don't seem to work. Maybe it's just me being shit. I'm usually all right at that.
I fall into traps with games like that. You have to be very, positioned in a very specific way for things to trigger. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Like that happened in.
I waste like half an hour on this one thing where you got to shoot an arrow into this thing, and then while you stand next to this other thing, and it'll create like a zip line, right? But I kept standing like 1 foot too far away, and so it wouldn't work. So I thought I was doing something wrong. So I spent like half an hour exploring the area. Then I got mad, looked up on YouTube, seen what I was doing was right. I just had to stand slightly closer to it. And then I did that, and it's like, this is frustrating. And just, I found the combat isn't as fun as Uncharted.
Video games. Yeah,
it is cool how it's like, I do respect like the whole more serious vibe, and I can see where the movie took its influence from. But I don't know if I'm going to stick with this one. I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to keep playing it though, I think. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to get Hitman, so I probably won't play anything new until like February, when I want to get it's called the new Mario port, Mario 3D World on Switch. And that's me for gaming. Just outside of that, living my best life as I can. The girlfriend and I have been looking for a new place, so we've been looking for that. It's been kind of tough, just finding a place that we like. What else to do? I recently did a sketch comedy with The Gym Australia, which is out on their channel. That's pretty fun. And just going around doing that. Oh, and also, as of today, I'm an uncle. So congratulations to my sister, Jessica.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yes, and welcome to the world, Isla. She's, pretty exciting. Never been an uncle before, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anyways, let's move on to the news. Let's get this all done and dusted. We're going to have a bit of a short episode today, guys. The first thing I think we got here is a trailer for a film called Cherry. From the Russos, starring Tom Holland. I don't know much about this. I literally just watched the trailer about 5 minutes ago. Z-Man, lay me your thoughts down on this. What do you think?
This looks awesome. Quite frankly, I think everyone was kind of like, on the edge of, because the Russos have been, exclusively doing MCU films for the last 9 years or so, right? I mean, like from the Winter Soldier all the way up to Endgame.
Yeah,
it was all.
And now they're like exclusively working with MCU actors. It feels like.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, over that near decade, I'm sure they've met talented people that they love to work with on other things. I mean, like, because that happens a lot. I mean, creatively, right? I mean, like, you're working on something, then you're like, God, imagine this guy in this script that I read like a few weeks ago. Like, he'd be great. So seeing Tom Holland in this trailer was just like, holy shit, dude. Like, the guy just, he's going to show the level of range that he has. And he, like, outside of the MCU, he has displayed range. Like, I haven't seen The Devil all the time, but I keep hearing how good his performance is.
Same.
And, I'm really excited to see Joe and Anthony Russo's kind of. I'm excited to see how they develop their director trademarks, because I mean, the Avengers movies, like, they are director driven, but not really. I mean, like, James Gunn. You see lots of James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? You see lots of Taika Waititi in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You see lots of Ryan Coogler in Black Panther, but I think these bigger ones like the Avengers and even Civil War, I think it's tough for Joe and Anthony Russo to shine through like their specific kind of like voice.
I think you're correct, but I think in addition to that, I think it's tough for any director to fully have their complete vision with any major studio film. Like, you watch like you said, James Gunn film, it feels like James Gunn, but at times it also feels like Kevin Feige. It also feels like some of these other things too. But I think a film like this, it's untouched, it's pure, it's as far as we know, at least, I imagine.
Yeah, those are kind of like examples of, you see more of the director than Kevin Feige, actually. I see more of James Gunn in Guardians of the Galaxy than I do Kevin Feige, because those movies don't operate without Kevin Feige. I mean, like, you can't have any of those movies without Kevin Feige.
What I'm saying is the directors, they work within the constraints provided by the franchise.
Yeah.
Like that's why you get these stories of like Patty Jenkins and Joss Whedon having their problems with their studios. Like, I'm sure behind the scenes, there are stories we don't hear about. Maybe not as bad as that, but maybe James Gunn wanted to, I don't know, fucking kill somebody off, or he wanted to do something, but then there's a conversation, it's like, well, we need him for Endgame, so can you have it end here? And it doesn't mean it's not their vision still, of course, but I feel like a film like this, we get to see even more of them, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that's my point. So that's why I'm really excited for Cherry, like, so I can start seeing what their, I guess, voice is, right? I mean, like, Civil War has that very grounded, realistic take, whereas Cherry, the trailer for Cherry gives me a gritty and grounded take on this young guy who's going through PTSD and ends up, developing a substance abuse problem, who ends up robbing banks. Like I get all of that, but it's also kind of like underscored by like some weird like humor. Like there's a little bit of humor in it as well. So I'm just kind of like, I want to see where this goes, because this wasn't written by them. This is based on a book by Nico Walker. Like, this is only directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. So I'm excited because it's a crime drama directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. It's their first one after the Avengers films. I want to see Tom Holland in a lot more shit, so I'm really excited to see Tom Holland in something like this. I love the premise. The premise is just simply an army medic with PTSD becomes addicted to opioids and starts robbing banks to pay for the addiction. I love all of it. And it seems like, judging from the trailer, it seems like everyone's performances are on point. It's a beautiful looking movie. Like, the filters they use are beautiful. I hope the score is fantastic. The guy that's doing the score is a guy named Henry Jackman. And Henry Jackman's, he's done a bunch of stuff, dude. Like, he's done Civil War and Winter Soldier. He's done movies like Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2 and Captain Phillips, and, like, he gets into it. But, like, yeah, I'm keen for this movie, dude. This looks awesome. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm most excited about is to have an Apple TV Plus project to look forward to to justify my purchase of that, because I don't think there's been a movie that's come out yet that's particularly excited me. There's been some shows I've liked, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not loving that platform right now compared to the others. If I'm not mistaken, this is their first film they've directed since the MCU, because they've produced a bunch, but this is their first directing, I think. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting, because like, you know, as much as I remember looking forward to 21 Bridges and stuff, like they just produced that, and that was basically it. So yeah, it would be exciting. It is a project I'm surprised. Like, I assumed they would go for more of maybe a lighter tone or something, just because of even before the MCU, the projects they take mostly lighter toned and stuff. So not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just found it surprising. Like you said, there is some humor here. I think I'm starting to understand, and I've only watched the trailer once and was in passing, so maybe I missed something, but it seems like the film will be narrated, I think, by Tom Holland. I don't think the trailer was very clear with that at first, but I think that's what they're going for. So, and you know, that sort of stuff often leads to a lot of opportunities for humor and wittiness, but also can be a great way to I think it's a great tool that can be used to get through exposition quickly without it weighing down the film. But yeah, I think, look, there's not much really else to say other than it looks good, and I'm excited to see what happens. And I'm sure these guys have amazing futures ahead of them. I can't wait to see what they do next, even after this. Yeah, not really much else to say other than I probably should hurry up and see Devil All the Time. Let's move on, though, I think, to... Oh, wait, is that all our news for this week? Oh, no. Guys, we saw WandaVision. How should we do this? Okay, let's talk about them both in general, and then maybe we can dive into the episodes a little bit, but there's not a lot to dive into, right? Because these aren't super plot driven.
We can just talk about it. Just talk about it. Yeah, because there's not.
It's not like The Mandalorian where it's very plot driven. This is more. It's very sitcom-y, like even more so than I thought it would be. Hey.
No, this is the exact amount of sitcom-y that I was expecting. I knew that at least the first 2 episodes, or even 3 episodes, would lean heavily into this Dick Van Dyke / Bewitched kind of like situation, and they're gonna bury the bit, right? Like they're gonna bury the big mystery here, because that's what's kind of like keeping us coming back every week. Like, you know, like that, like they know exactly why audiences are going to keep coming back, and it's interesting that they chose this sitcom kind of like structure, because they're like, everyone acting in this is amazing. Like everyone, I'm talking Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Catherine Hahn, especially those 3 are fucking incredible at what they do. It feels like you just, like if someone walked downstairs and saw me watching this movie and had no idea who Wanda Maximoff and Vision were, and they were like, why are you watching 50s sitcoms? Like it feels so... It feels so genuine, like the laugh track, even like the mono kind of like sound design, like it's all so authentic and it feels fantastic. But I love, like, you know, I love how on a dime, dude, like even like like you can click your fingers and the tone of this entire thing can change so suddenly. Like we could be laughing about a hilarious joke that Wanda cracks and Vision laughs about, and then not even a second later, we get a horrifying moment because Wanda's horrified. Because we know the reality of what's actually happened. Like, we know that the Vision is dead, right? We know that. Like, this is, you know, it's highly unlikely that this is a prequel we're watching. Like, we know that something is seriously wrong here. Like, you know, something is not right. So it's really interesting how they're going to keep us coming back. This is a like, I am really glad that they dropped the first 2 episodes at the same time, because I think that first episode alone would not have been enough. I think that first episode alone would have been, man, like, I don't know what we're really doing here. But those first 2 episodes, especially the second episode, when we get the bee kind of like the beekeeper kind of like coming out of the sewer, and Wanda just straight up says no. And then we just get the rewinding of time, and she's able to somehow control and manipulate time. And I don't know if her
I think
powers,
it's more the reality rather than the time, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. Like it seems like time. I mean, like it seems like she it seems like she saw that kind of like timeline or that timeline, and then was like, nope, I'm not dealing with this, and was like, I'm gonna do a different timeline. Like so it was just like it was awesome, dude. I really admire the production design. I admire the again the music, the way the style of it. Here's something that you see this on Twitter all the time, but I'm sorry, but it's totally true. People complain a lot about the MCU being very samey and very, like they're all the same, right? That is the biggest complaint that I always hear about. They're all the same.
Well, you definitely can't say that about this.
You cannot tell me. But like, here's the thing. Like, I point to movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Civil War. Like, you cannot tell me that those two movies are alike in any way, shape, or form. Like, so WandaVision is a fantastic start to the MCU's TV kind of like foray. And I'm really excited to see more. These two are solid foundations, and we are asking some amazing questions that will hopefully lead to some amazing answers. So yeah, I'm really keen to see what's to come.
Yeah, man, I think it is cool. I think it is. It's also interesting to note. I feel like the style of humor, is like they didn't try and emulate. Like they didn't try and like work on it. The humor is relevant for the time period they're trying to emulate. And I do find it rather exciting in terms of like, because I'm a huge sitcom fan. I love sitcoms. Even if I don't like a sitcom, I will often watch the final episode just because I love to see how like wrapping up a sitcom is so not sitcom-y. So like I always love any variations on the formula. And I have seen this sort of thing done before. I have seen shows and stuff where they go, oh, they're dreaming they're in a sitcom or something like that. But I haven't seen it done to this
Supernatural
extent.
Did a whole episode on that.
Yeah, Scrubs did it too. Who else did it? Community did it. A bunch of other people have done it, but it's almost always done for laughs. Like, or still like they try and work in some emotional moments, but this, like, they're sort of underlying it with some horror almost, which even horror is new for the MCU, I feel. Even like an underlying mystery, like I think you could say Winter Soldier had a little bit of that, but and I know maybe that's more, you could argue that's more relevant for like a serialized show rather than a film, but this is new, and it is, and you're definitely seeing these characters in a brand new light. I am excited about how it seems like every episode will parody a new sitcom or a new era of sitcoms. I believe the next one is kind of doing a riff on the Brady Bunch, I think. I heard that somewhere, but I don't know if that's actually accurate. But like, what I worry is, where do they go with it? Because I think we all assume we know what the format of the show is. It will eventually, episode by episode, we'll learn more, and then there'll be some sort of big reveal, and we'll work out through that. And it's probably something under the lines of like,
I don't know. I think they expect us to think that. I think there's going to be some kind of like shake up, because I don't think they're going to keep this bit going for much longer. I think beyond episode 4, they're going to like, that's not even a worry. That's just even like I think, they're smart enough as showrunners to know that a general audience is not going to tolerate this for much longer, because I think beyond episode 4, it's just going to change.
I don't know. So what we know that the people who saw early stuff only saw the first 3 episodes, and it seems to be like that sort of the next episode is a similar format. And I'm guessing most of the stuff, if not all the stuff we saw from the trailers, is from the first 3 episodes. So I am hoping episode 4 or end of episode 3, there is some big reveal that changes things up. But if they switch genres on us, I'll be really impressed. But I think of just watching, it's the second big Disney Plus show we've seen.
What do you mean by genres? Sorry,
like if they break completely from the story, if they go completely non-sitcom and they go into drama or like kind of make it look like an MCU movie, which I understand there'll be moments of that, but if they go completely like that and do a complete 180, that
well,
That'll be
we
interesting.
started seeing it already, and that was in the trailer, right?
Yeah, but we haven't seen a full episode like that. And I'm saying if they completely get rid of all the sitcom stuff, first of all, I don't think I've ever seen that done before, so that would be really interesting. But yeah, I'm just curious because I after seeing Mandalorian, I feel like especially season 1 Mandalorian, they were looking at self-contained episodes with they sort of hint at like a bigger ongoing plot. That's a very common thing to do for serialized shows, and it seems to me that they're going to do that. I do hope that they don't stick completely to the sitcom formula, but like, you never know, like Disney CEOs might like the fact that they have a show in the MCU in a completely different format. Here's what I will say though. I'm not expecting a season 2. I have a feeling that if they were to do or if they did a season 2, they'd have to drop the sitcom stuff. Because I don't see audiences wanting that again. I honestly don't think anyone wants to see an MCU sitcom. The only reason people are coming into this and enjoying it is because of the underlying questions we have involved, which aren't really sitcom elements. They're more traditional drama elements.
I don't know if I agree with that. I know people who are enjoying the sitcom elements only. I watched this with my girlfriend, who she's a very casual, MCU fan, and she enjoyed it, man. Like she's genuinely having a laugh. She really liked the way that they kind of like highlighted the misogynistic elements of it, of like the whole 50s. Like, like the wife deserves to stay at home and like should stay at home and like, makes a home cooked meal. So, it was interesting. And I think she's really kind of like loving the whole satire. The whole sitcom.
No, I would say,
of it.
I'd say it's satire on or parody on.
It is, yeah.
On
so
sitcoms.
I don't.
A lot of the jokes are very meta. Like there's the whole bit in the first episode where. And I'm told apparently this dialogue was almost lifted out of an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, which is news to me. But the whole part where Vision's all like, so what do we do here? And they never actually explain it. Apparently that was a very common trope in like 60s sort of sitcoms and stuff, where they never would explain what the husband does. They just throw him in an office. And so I love that meta commentary on that. And I think it's really exciting if they go and they move by era, that they can highlight new tropes and new stuff. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if, the next one's more like 80s or whatever. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another episode where it's like...
saying, I think saying that nobody wants a sitcom, a Marvel sitcom TV show is a bit much.
Okay, maybe not nobody, but the average Marvel fan is kind of hoping for, I think, explosions and CGI bullshit or whatever, because they're used to seeing that in Avengers. But I wouldn't mind seeing them, because I'm enjoying the meta stuff, like you said. I wouldn't mind seeing an episode where they go in the 90s and it's more like Seinfeld or Friends, I wouldn't mind seeing a more modern where they go like 2.5 Men or Big Bang Theory. I would think it'd be even really cool. I saw a shot in here's a really out there theory, okay? And I'm basing it off a single shot I saw in the trailer. But I have a feeling, and I hope to God this is what happens, but there's an episode based around, like, inspired by The Office. Because you know how, like, The Office started that, like, trend of, like
a mockumentary
sort of style comedies. And because that's almost a whole new era, or at least single camera comedies, because they're pretty new. I would say, like, Malcolm Middle and Scrubs popularized it. But then, so that could even be an episode, or they could lump it in with the mockumentaries like The Office, or even get shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine that blur the lines between single camera and mockumentary. I might be asking for too much, but I feel like if you're going to base your show around doing meta commentary on sitcoms, I'd be extra excited if they went all in and they tried to tackle every era. But then once you do all the eras, like, where do you go from there? I guess you just switch it to an MCU show, right? Where it's
I don't think they're basing the show around, doing like making meta commentary on satires and sitcoms. I think they're just kind of using it as a background, as a backdrop, as a clever backdrop, because the audience knows that the Vision is dead and that this is some kind of, or suspects that this is some kind of elaborate ruse on Wanda's part to hide her reality, to mask her reality. So it's like they're kind of like...
She's put herself in a fantasy world,
Right, exactly. So I think once that kind of like fades away in the story, we're not gonna get it back. I don't expect this to be going for much longer, to be honest. I don't expect it to be going for longer than 5 episodes, like the actual sitcom of it. I think after 5 episodes, we're gonna get the rest of it will be filmed like an actual Marvel film.
Yeah. Do we know how many episodes a season is?
So it's 9 episodes,
Nine.
and it is currently billed as a mini-series on IMDb. So mini-series obviously means that there's no season 2 yet.
Oh, so I might be right there. Okay.
Obviously, all of that can change. Like, I mean, that shit can change overnight.
Course.
So.
If that makes a lot of money, then they might want to, whatever. I think it would make sense, though, if they do switch it, do that, and then end it. That would be a good, escalation and move. What I would love is if they do switch genres completely and they drop the sitcom and move forward. I would love when that happens, it switches from a half-hour format to an hour format. Because nowadays, comedies are still known as half hour, but drama is more known for an hour. So it'd be really extra cool if they move into hour. Also, you get more out of your stuff. Like dramas that go for half an hour, sometimes feel a bit too short. Sometimes.
Yeah, but these are expensive. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are movie stars.
Apparently it's one of the most expensive shows ever made. I think each episode cost approximately $25 million, apparently. Which is a lot.
I'd believe it. I'd believe it. I mean, things that are set in period are more expensive than a lot of people think. So,
yeah, but these are sets, so I imagine it wouldn't be as much as a traditional period because they could do it all in a warehouse on a soundstage.
You need cars, you need microwaves, you need fucking set design, you need
clothes, I suppose
you need
so,
sound design. Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, okay, that would add up, I guess. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm wondering where it goes. I have one more theory I want to pitch, very small one. But you know that voice we hear, like Wanda, where are you? I think it might be because we know he's going to appear in at some point. What's his name? Ray Park, Asian Jim from The Office. He's in Ant-Man and he's in the interview. Is it Ray? Is it
from
Ray?
Ant-Man?
Is his name Ray? I think his name's Ray.
Dude, I don't fucking know. He's from Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He's from Ant-Man.
Whatever. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be he's on the other end, but I could be completely wrong. It's a very hard to tell from that voice to the radio. But yeah, I'm exciting. I'm loving it. It's a cool intro. It's something different.
There's a lot of theories out there about and look, I'm just going to drop this here. I do not want to get into conversation about this.
I haven't read
go for very long.
Many. These are just what I said.
I mean, look, these are kind of like rational guesses. I mean, people think that Quicksilver is going to show up. You know, her dead brother.
You'd expect it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, which is probably going to lead into the mutants because Wanda and Peter are mutants technically.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. If that happens, whatever. I'm down with it. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All we do know for a fact is that this is going to set up a lot of things that is going to happen in Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness. So that's literally kind of like all we know as far as like the impact of this series on the wider MCU.
No, and apparently Spider-Man 3 as well.
And Spider-Man 3, yes, that's correct. Because those two movies will be connected. So yeah, so I did drop a poll as I do, and we got some pretty great kind of interest. People are going to people have indicated that they do want to see or get involved with the conversation fortnight by fortnight. Like we did with the Mandalorian. So my question was Marvel's WandaVision. What did you guys think of the first 2 episodes? And the majority of people said episode 1 and 2, dig it. I dig it. One person said not feeling it, and that was Alan Michael Pools. And I want to read Alan Michael Pools' comment. Thanks for commenting, Alan. He said, I'm sticking with it, but I think this is one they should have made bingeable because it's not a compelling standalone show. That is interesting. I thought about that for a bit, and I was always on board for bingeable shows, like drop it all at once kind of thing. You were always an advocate of the whole, we lose the water cooler talk, we lose the water cooler conversation kind of thing. I think that this works better as a week-by-week TV show because of the mystery. Because this relies so heavy on the mystery element and so heavy on it feels like Lost. Like there are parts of this where that feel like, like the way it ends and the way it's just like, oh shit, what's going to happen next week kind of thing. It feels very much like Lost. So yeah, I respect your comment there, Alan. But I might need to disagree on that.
Yeah, I feel like the shows that are good week by week, they are usually shows that either have a lot of mystery to them, like Lost or whatever, or they make themselves available for speculation. What I will say, and I'm not saying I fully agree here, but to give some credit, I don't know if comedy shows will generate that much conversation. I think the reason, though, WandaVision can get away with it is because of this mystery element. Like, I don't expect people talking so much around the water cooler about a show like New Girl.
Do you see
Community.
this as a comedy?
It's got a comedy format, like a sitcom format. Okay, so I think the jokes come second to the mystery, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I honestly, I'm not fully convinced yet that when the creators and stuff were around the table and they got word from Kevin Feige or Marvel saying, make this show, here's the brief, do with it what you will. I have a feeling it could have been like Disney CEO bigwigs looking at their 4 quadrants and they go, we don't have enough original sitcom content on Disney Plus, and that might have motivated it. I don't know if
that's a
no.
Stretch.
I really think that's how Disney operate, and that's how they look for things. Because I think if this show wasn't this show, it would have been something else. I no, so I'm not like fully set in stone on that because it's not fully it's not a traditional sitcom, and I don't think it's going to stay a sitcom either. Like, I do think the switch to like an MCU thing, what we'd more expect, will happen. But I just don't know if I see them doing half-hour episodes that are all action, you know? So
no, I agree with that.
I don't fully think I know.
Mandalorian did that.
Yeah, like, I don't know if we fully know where it's going to go. Like, I think we have our assumptions, and I think they're probably very close to true, but I don't know. I don't want to stick to anything too much yet because I feel like there could be a piece to the puzzle of the DNA of the show that we're not fully sure of yet. But I could be completely wrong. It might be just face value. Yeah.
Here's my thing. I absolutely do not think that this is a comedy. And I'll tell you why very briefly. I agree with you. I think this has some great jokes. Some that actually made me laugh out loud. I'm just like, holy shit, that was fucking great. But I think there's a lot of tragedy in this. Like, it's underlying and it's very like overt as well, because this show really relies on its audience knowing that Vision is dead. I think there's a lot of the creators went into this knowing, all right, we know the Vision is dead. We're gonna have him alive at the start of the show, and the audience is gonna be asking questions why. We don't know, but we suspect that Wanda is covering this up, covering her reality. So the more she uses humor and the more characters use humor to mask the reality, the tragic reality of what's actually happened here, the more I'm just like, this is kind of like sad. This is like actually really sad, because some of the laughs and some of the smiles they give to each other, they're smiling, but there's a bit of sadness in their eyes. Like, there's a little bit of like, I'm smiling
than sadness.
Yeah, you're right. Like, there's a fear of like losing this. There's a fear of like, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Like, the more I see like the jokes and stuff, I don't think this is a comedy. I think this is more of a drama than a comedy, because the comedy is used to mask the drama.
I think you're right. Like, for the like, I think you're probably right.
Of course, I'm right. I'm me.
Fuck you. I think it might have been maybe better if, like, okay, here's what I want, right? If that's the way they're doing this, I want
final point, by the way.
I want a scene where when everything gets revealed or whatever, we get some sort of flashback to Wanda as a girl in Sokovia, and she's like watching an American sitcom, and like she's like, that must be what it's like in America. It's so perfect, it's happy. And then all the shit happens with Tony Stark's like fucking missile blows shit up, and then her vision of America, I guess, changes. I'd love if they could just do some emotional tie-in to why she sees a sitcom, because she's not like Abed from a Community where she lives her life around TV, right? So I want them to bring in some sort of connective tissue to why it's a sitcom, and I hope it's something like that. I think they could really.
That's not unreasonable. Yeah.
I just thought of that now, but I think if I was writing this, that's probably the tissue I would use.
The smartest point you've made all night. That was actually, yeah. You know what? That's actually a really good point. Like why is it a sitcom? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think that's why it doesn't seem fully right to me. But because it could be so many ways they go about it. Like maybe they're just like, fuck it, it's cool, let's just do that. And they are right. It is a cool idea, so go for it. But like usually Marvel and their better films,
cool?
At least, they try and
I'd go out of my way to
deeper.
say that it's totally uncool. Like it's totally just sort of out of left field that it's so uncool.
Sorry, what was that? Vulnerable, you say?
Oh, no. I was just saying, like, I don't think it's quite cool, like the whole sitcom idea.
I think it's a cool idea. Like it's kind of, okay, it's not completely original. It has been sort of done before, but I think the concept is kind of, it's engaging, right? Like the fact that
it's totally engaging.
There's something sinister lurking between the smiles. I will say though, like even as a comedy, and I don't want to backpedal too much there, but sometimes it doesn't work for me. But I think it's because of the jokes of the era. Like some of them don't hold up like they do now, but they are being true to the era. So, you know, maybe it works more on a pop culture appreciation level. But, you know, a lot of the jokes are great. I love how the plot lines so far, the storylines are very, like, tropes of sitcoms. Like, you got to impress the boss. There's a talent show. I would love it if they did an episode based on another trope where it's, like, someone's on a date, but they've got two different people and they have to pretend they're, like, you know, that's a very common one. You know, stuff like that. But yeah, look, we'll see what happens as it goes on. Looking forward to seeing more. I'm loving how the intro is always different too. So, yeah. Let's move on though. We've got a bunch of reviews today. The reviews include Promising Young Woman, Pieces of a Woman. Got a bit of a theme here. And we also got The Dry before we go into the MDF game. So how about we do this? Zoheb saw Promising Young Woman, Pieces of Woman. So how about we sandwich The Dry in between that? So which one would you like to start with, my friend? Promising Young Woman or Pieces of a Woman?
Let's go with Promising Young Woman.
Every week, I go to a club. I act like I'm too drunk to stand. And every week, a nice guy comes over to see if I'm okay.
You okay?
You are so pretty.
I am a nice guy.
Are you?
1, 2, 3, 4. I thought we had a connection.
Okay. How old am I? What are my hobbies? What's my name? Sorry, maybe that one's too hard.
This is the most unpredictable movie I've seen in a very long time. This honestly, it kicked my ass. Like because I didn't watch a trailer. I didn't watch. I probably hadn't even seen a poster. I didn't look up the synopsis. I didn't look up anything. I went into this completely blind, and so should you. Like whoever's listening to this, including yourself, Matt. Like, do not watch a trailer. Do not read a plot synopsis. I think you should go into this completely blind. What brought me into it was that this is in the Oscar race, or will likely be in the Oscar race. Emerald Fennell is the director. Yeah, she's getting a lot of buzz. So is the lead, Carey Mulligan, who is amazing in this movie. She is just absolutely incredible. But dude, like the more I say about the plot of this movie, the more I'm gonna kind of like ruin it. So I'm going to kind of like skip around that a little bit. The mystery and like the whole like where is this kind of like movie going? It totally grabbed me like no movie has before in a very long time at least. Like I was just like, where is this going? And where it ended up, dude, is just it feels so satisfying. And you know, like you could like honestly, they could have like not stuck the landing. They could have not been. They could have been like, we're going to go in this whole different direction that just totally doesn't make sense or totally thematically just is like out of left field. But that's just totally not the case because this feels like the right ending for this kind of movie. Everyone in this movie is top notch, like absolutely top notch. The writing in this movie is brilliant. The music is amazing. There's licensed music in this that is kind of like remixed, and it'll stick with you. It'll stick in your head.
You never mention licensed music. You hate that usually. That's a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big deal.
It is. The cinematography is fantastic. Everything about this movie is outstanding, and I'm so glad that I had already kind of like written my top 10 list, because if I had seen this movie last year, this would have like disrupted my top 10 list in a big bad way. This would have been top 3, absolutely. Like this is so amazing, and I think honestly, if it like I really can't talk much about it. You know, I really want you to watch it, and then we can kind of like come back on and talk about it, because it's such a fantastic movie. It's so timely. It gets into a lot of themes that are explored in society today. But outside of that, I really can't talk about anything. I need to be very tight-lipped. I was listening to an interview with Emerald. It is in cinemas. Okay. Yeah, it's in cinemas here in Australia, but in the US, I believe it's already on VOD. So if you're in the US, it's on VOD. In Australia, it's available for pre-order on VOD, but right now it's in cinemas. But I was listening to an interview with Emerald Fennell, the director, and you know, she's talking about like how I can barely go out and like talk about press. Like, you know, there's no like this movie is so kind of like airtight in the way that it reveals things to you, and the way that it kind of like hides things from you. That it's just really, really crazy. But like the movie itself is there are elements in it that are somewhat controversial, that are somewhat like, oh shit, like did that actually just happen? Did she just do that? So much so that Emerald Fennell was like, you know, she was in a screening with potential investors and distributors. So they had already shot the film. They were just looking for distributors. And apparently a fight broke out in the cinema like that she was in, because people like the actual like representatives, the distributor representatives audibly disagreed with the lead's kind of like the way she's going about things.
Wow.
And Emerald Fennell is just in the back row just being like, I don't know whether to smile because I achieved the impact I was going for, or
have I ruined my career?
Right. Whether to cry because my movie's not going to get distributed.
Oh, fuck. But look, I always say, regardless of what emotion you feel during the film, if a film makes you feel a strong emotion, either way, even if it's unintended, that is a huge
that's a plus.
achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, totally. But I walked away from this movie thinking about it 4 or 5 days later. I watched it by myself the first night, and then 2 nights later I took my girlfriend, and she loved it as well. And she we just totally blown away about this movie. Highly recommend this movie. Go check it out like right now. Like pause this podcast and then come back after the movie, because it is so good. Big words from Z-Man here.
Let's move on. Let's talk about an Australian film. We don't cover Aussie content as much as we should, but I'm glad to do The Dry. The Dry actually recently broke box office records for Australia, making, I think it was 3.5 million within its first week, I think, which I know to some of you big Marvel, Star Wars fans, it might not sound like a lot, but by Aussie standards, that is a big deal. So goes Australia. Stars Eric Bana. Pretty stoked on that one.
How are you, Gretchen?
It's all over town that you're reopening the investigation.
Luke drove to his house at 4:30, killed his family, then headed here to kill himself.
You're convinced he did it?
What do you think?
I'm an old mate of Luke's, actually.
You lied back then, Aaron. Luke lied as well. The day that poor girl drowned.
So The Dry is about a dude who is a cop who had some recent success. He comes back to his old hometown. There was a death, and he's and it's a bit suspicious, and he has to sort of investigate it. Without going in too far, what I really liked about this film is, so it becomes quickly, it feels like a whodunit, but not like in a traditional sense. Like I wouldn't compare it to something like Knives Out, but I was really impressed with this film with the way it had me guessing and changing my mind. And I'm finding it less and less that films can make me get in that guessing game zone. And so that's always exciting to see. And I think they did a really good job of setting up these little chess pieces and executing it. So, yeah, shouts to the director on this. I felt that really gripped me. The ending though had about 2 twists, and both of them really caught me by surprise. Like I was being that cocky dick. It's like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. I've seen this before. And then I was wrong. And then I was like, oh, well, I know what's going to happen. I was wrong again. And whenever a film can do that for me, I'm always, I'm pretty impressed. I love just how unapologetic Australian this setting, this backdrop is. I had a lot of fun with this one. Not much more to say other than, if you're an Aussie and you want to support Aussie films, this is a good one, worth check it out. I will warn you, it's a little slow at the start, but that's only to set it all up, because a film like this has a lot of pieces to work with. But yeah, I like the relationship of the characters here, some good performances, and yeah, shouts to the dry. What do you think of this one, man?
Yeah, I'm going to echo your thoughts and say I pretty much agree on all points, except for the fact that the start was slow. I enjoyed it all the way through. I think, yeah, like there is a lot of setup, but I think all of that is really compelling.
Yeah, I think it's important for a film like this. And to be honest, going into it, I didn't realize it was going to be like that. But once I did, I was like, oh, okay, I'm on board. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, firstly, I just want to mention that this is based on a book by Harper Lee. I think yes, Harper Lee. Jane Harper. Harper Lee did Kill a Mockingbird. Fuck me. But yeah. So this was awesome, dude. I love movies like this. I love crime dramas. I love whodunits. Like I love, man. Like the movie starts off with a shot of a crying baby, and you pan down and you just see a body covered in blood, and you pan over to the hallway and there's another body covered in blood, and it's just like whoa. So that is my genre. That is the world I live in when it comes to film. So right off the bat, I was really, really intrigued. And then like we start getting some amazing cinematography. Like the cinematography in this movie is beautiful. Like I think it's really hard to fuck up desert shooting, like desert locations.
Yeah.
But the cracked, the arid kind of like landscape, the fact that, you feel like if you forget your water bottle at home, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's what they're kind of going for here.
People don't talk about this a lot, but the number one rule in film school is if you're filming in a desert or in the Australian outback, you need a beautiful drone shot just showing how vast the landscape is.
Right.
It's great.
But like even like come to the end when someone is holding a lit matchstick, and given the fires that we just had like last year, I audibly kind of like gasped because like I knew what was at stake. Like I was like, oh my god!
So
that
just for the listeners, just to explain and fill you in here in case you haven't seen it, the ending ends with. They find the person they want to get.
Don't spoil.
I'm not going to say anything, but basically, there's a scene where someone is got like a bucket of gasoline, putting it all over like this Aussie forest, and pretty much threatening to like light a huge fire, which could like destroy a whole town and stuff. And it's not like played like like fucking Avengers style, whatever. It feels like, but the stakes, especially when you're living in Australia, for some reason, it just feels so massive, especially because we had those bushfires last year, which were like pretty much destroyed our whole country. And I totally agree with you, man. Seeing that on screen, it's so much more threatening than a gun. It's so much more threatening than like the typical, I've got a bomb strapped to my chest or whatever. Like that element it totally took me by surprise, but it felt so real, like the threat behind it. It was such a great moment. Thanks for bringing that up, actually.
No, totally. And Eric Bana is fantastic in this. Like he's mostly quiet. He's like the strong, stoic, Australian Federal Police officer. He's great. I love seeing him with the Australian accent, the normal accent that he has. I wanted to shout out another actor, Bruce Spence. So Bruce Spence plays Luke. Luke is the kid that he's the father. So Bruce Spence he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and he was in Return of the King, and he's kind of like this big kind of like character actor. And when I saw him pop up, I was like, "What the fuck?" He's also in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls as well. He's one of the hunters. One of the poachers. But yeah, like I was just like, "God damn!" Like it's Bruce Spence. I haven't seen him in years. But yeah, this movie was great. Like a lot of twists and turns. At a lot of times, it felt like Scream. Like like there's a lot of misdirection on purpose. I'm going to kind of like ding it a little bit. I don't love the way they use flashbacks in this movie. It felt it felt a little kind of like hindering. It felt a little like, okay, we are getting somewhere in the story, but first let us pause it here for this flashback that doesn't really need to be in here.
Okay,
like,
actually,
I don't mind. Hold up.
Sorry,
I don't mind one or two flashbacks kind of thing, but I don't need the I don't need the scene where he passes a note to her in school or anything like that. Like, I don't need the very minute kind of like level of flashback detail.
Look, 90% of the time, I would usually agree with you because I feel like the trope of cutting to the flashbacks been done to death. Ever since Lost, I feel like so many shows did it. Like, I remember I used to watch that show Arrow so much, and they did it to death, and I fucking hated every time they did a flashback there. But I actually like the use of flashbacks in this film because there's like they never really, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's basically a B plot in these flashbacks of there's a fact about the main character that we don't really know if he did something or not. And during these flashbacks, they're sort of telling you a story about something that happened this one day, and you don't know if they're going to reveal it or not. So for me, it added an extra layer to the mystery. You could maybe argue there was, admittedly, there was a lot, but I was actually surprised by how much that actually gripped me. I usually get annoyed by that stuff, so I actually really liked it. If you
excise all of the flashbacks, you still know what happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
But you don't know who did it and if what people are saying is true. And I think anything, that gripped me probably more because I was trying to go and he says he didn't do it, but did he? So
right, yeah. At times I like how it sets up the whole. Can this? If this guy was a monster as a kid, could he have done this right now? I like that, but I think him walking into a bar and him being confronted by the dead girl's brother, right? I think all of that tells you that element of the story pretty fucking well. You can assume a lot of things. I think this. I don't know, because I think a lot of times with flashbacks, the director or the writer ends up spoon feeding the audience, and I don't know, I didn't feel it here. I was
for me, I flip flopped on thinking he did it and didn't do it because of those flashbacks, and that's why I appreciate them. And most projects that do that, there's no extra meaning to the flashback. Usually maybe it's telling you a story, but with this, it's well, I think what I like about it is the fact that whatever happens in the flashbacks does affect the other storyline that's happening now. It's just the ending of those flashbacks is. So for me, I was kind of where it's going to go. I want to know where it goes. So it affects this. And the way it ties into the second twist at the end, that was kind of cool, I thought. But I guess it doesn't tie directly into it. But yeah, I know. Anyways, I rather enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favorite Aussie films I've seen in a while. I've been trying to watch a lot more Aussie films lately, and this one was definitely probably in my top 5 of the last year or so that I've seen. So shouts to the Dry and go Australia. Closing it out today, one last review. Z-Man, you saw another movie starting with P that ends with woman. That was Pieces of a Woman, not Promising Young Woman, Pieces of a Woman. Dude, lay it down with your thoughts. What do you think of this one?
She sounds really good. Hi, baby. I wanted the baby to decide when she wanted to come.
My daughter came into this world. For the time that she did.
bring her back.
So, Pieces of a Woman is a Netflix film starring Vanessa Kirby, who you might have seen in Hobbs and Shaw and Mission Impossible 5. Or wait, is that the fifth one? No. Yes, no, sixth one. Sorry, Fallout. That's the one I'm thinking about.
They all blur together at this point.
Yeah. So this movie is harrowing at points. I kind of like put it on, and I had to kind of like pause it after 10 minutes because the first half an hour, and like I knew the premise of it, and so did my girlfriend when we sat down and watched it. But I had to pause it after 10 minutes because I remembered that my girlfriend's sister is pregnant and is expecting a baby in 2 weeks. And, this is all about a woman who loses a child in childbirth.
Oh,
and,
no.
The grief, the grief after that and how you deal and how you come back from that and who you blame and who you don't blame. It
sounds like pausing it was the right choice, dude.
Oh, man. Yeah, I paused it and I asked her, I'm just like, are you okay with watching this? And she's like, honestly, I actually didn't even think about it until you just said it. But no, she was fine with it. So
you can watch it in a few weeks.
Right. We trudged on. Dude, the first half an hour is set in one location and it's her giving birth. Think about
30
that.
minutes of
30 minutes.
Like a birthing scene.
30 minutes. So
holy shit.
So it's her and her partner played by Shia LaBeouf, who is also fantastic in this movie. So they're kind of like, they're like, okay, she's like, I'm starting to get sick. I'm starting to feel it. Can we call the midwife? Because she's wanting to do a home birth. And Shia LaBeouf is all about wanting to go to the hospital. So it
all takes place in the house, is it?
This takes place in the house, the first half an hour. So she is, she gets notified that the midwife, the normal midwife, is unavailable. So the secondary midwife comes over and helps them deliver the baby. This all takes place in one shot, by the way. It's nearly a half an hour long, single take, and it is really incredibly well done. It is so fantastic.
Damn.
So, she's giving birth and she gives birth. The baby's like, as the baby's coming, because we know the premise, like, you kind of like know the bit, right? You kind of like know what you're getting into, that this is the start of the movie. This is not going to end well. The midwife, who is a professional, once you see her listen to the heartbeats of the baby via, like, in the stomach, and you can start to see her starting to panic, and she's not telling the parents this yet because she doesn't want them to worry or she's unsure, but you can tell that she's starting to panic. She's like, okay, let's flip her on her side. She doesn't want to come over that way. She doesn't want to come out that way. And you as the audience are just like, really, like, I was digging my fingernails into my palm. Like, I'm just like, oh shit. It was more intense than any action film I've seen this year, dude. It was like, it was really incredibly well done. And unfortunately, look, the baby does pass away. I feel very sorry for the midwife because the midwife eventually becomes part of these criminal and civil proceedings.
Oh, no.
And
so is the film from her perspective or is it from the parents' perspective?
The movie or that scene?
The rest of the movie after the birth.
No, so the rest of the movie is the entire movie is shot from the perspective of the mother.
Right.
So
okay, gotcha.
the entire point of the movie is to bring you all the way around to the ending of the movie, to that criminal trial, and whether or not the mother forgives the midwife for what happened.
Fuck.
And yeah, it's really brutal. It's really fantastically well played and well acted, well written.
Do they paint it as if it's the midwife's fault?
I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
Like it's up to you to decide whether it was. Personally, I don't think so. I think they do a very good job of, because like that's a reason that we don't get any cuts during that birthing scene. So we don't. So we see everything unfiltered and unedited. So like we don't miss anything that might be construed as sinister. Like on the midwife's part, we see everything. We've got all of the evidence to decide on our own whether she was responsible or not. So it's
so while
it's a fantastic.
You might disagree, do you think some people would agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a court case, right? Yeah, that's a court case. So yeah, probably. But look, it's beautiful. It's well acted, well written. It's a drama about loss, coping with that loss, and eventually finding your way to move beyond that loss. And Vanessa Kirby is fantastic. She is in contention, along with Carey Mulligan, to not only be nominated for Best Actress, but probably to win it.
Wow.
You know, she's fantastic. And another person I want to shout out in this movie is Ellen Burstyn. Ellen Burstyn was the mother in The Exorcist. She was also in Interstellar. She plays the mother-in-law, and you know, she's got because the mother. I'm not talking about Ellen Burstyn. I'm talking about Vanessa Kirby. She doesn't feel like that she had a child. So when the child dies, she wants to move on as quickly as possible. She wants to move on and forget it and shut everyone out as quickly as possible. Whereas the mother, the grandmother, the grandmother, the mother-in-law is just like, no, I want to bury my child. I don't want to cremate it or donate it to science. I want to bury my grandchild. And it is fantastic, man. It's just such a battle of morals and a battle of like heart and wit. And, you know, it does go on a bit long and it is a bit preachy at points. But like this is a fantastic movie with a couple of unforgettable performances, and you know, Shia LaBeouf is fantastic, and he brings a sense of like, what the fuck do I do now to his character. Also, Benny Safdie is in this movie, so he's one of the Safdie brothers who made Good Time and Uncut Gems. He's in this movie as like acting, and I'm just like, dude, fuck yeah. But yeah, look, this is a fantastic movie, and though it may not be for everybody, there are things to kind of like find in here that might make you stir or kind of like pull at your heartstrings. But beware, like the first 30 minutes of this movie are tough to bear. It's good though. It's worth the wait.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll say. I'm glad I didn't see the film because as someone whose sister literally gave birth today, I don't want to see that shit right now. So maybe I'll watch it some other time. But look, guys, to close today off, we have the MDF game. Zoheb messaged me today saying this is a really tough one, and I immediately replied with, "No, it's not." And
not for you, not for you.
Not for me, because I've been very vocal on throughout my entire life, and especially on this podcast, about my answer to this question. But Z-Dog, why don't you lay the question on us today?
So this week's MDF game. What is your favorite, that is the operative word, favorite film of 1999? This is a year, and like I kind of like pulled this MDF game out of my ass. Like I just didn't really think of anything else. Because this is a year that is very well known to be one of the best years in film. Like, you know, there are these years that pop up in a few decades that are just like, holy shit, that was that year. Are you serious? Yeah. And this is 100% one of those years. And I think, you know, judging by the comments and, you know, the engagement in our poll from the after party, you know, people had a great time voting in on this. And
1999 was a good year. Yeah.
We had a clear, well, actually, up until a couple of hours ago, we had a clear winner. It was, and still is, The Matrix. The Matrix did take it home, right? So that is first place with 11 votes. With 10 votes, right behind it, close. 1 vote away, is The Mummy with 10 votes.
Also a very great movie. Yes.
I love the after party, man. Like that is amazing. And in third place is 10 Things I Hate About You. So Matt, I know yours. It's The Matrix. What do you think mine is?
What? How did you know? Nah, for you, I'm gonna guess Fight Club. No?
Favorite?
Oh, favorite. I feel like I'm tempted to say The Mummy, but I feel like you like throwing curveballs. So you're going to go for something that's less popcorny. So I'm going to guess, if it's not, so okay, since I'm guessing it's not Fight Club, then is it Sixth Sense? It's The Mummy, isn't it? It's the fucking Mummy.
No, it's not The Mummy. I actually don't think you would have.
Don't tell me. I'm going to guess one more. Oh, hang on. Is it Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
That's that masterpiece. Yeah, that's the one.
What else is left that you would like? Don't tell me. It's going to be added by Minna, double feature, not by Carlos. I'm going to say your favorite from 1999, more than The Mummy, more than The Sixth Sense, more than The Matrix. You love American Pie.
Close. It is that genre. It is a
Austin
comedy.
Powers.
No.
What the
I've
fuck
actually
is
never
left?
seen it.
What is it? I give
You've
up.
got one more guess. You've got one more guess.
What else is a comedy? Is it American Beauty?
No.
Because
Not a
American
comedy.
Pie, American Beauty. What is
comedy.
it? I give up. Oh, wait, is it South Park?
No, it's 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, did you already say that? Okay. Why 10 Things I Hate About You?
So
Really?
if I'm
Against all these other films. 10 Things I Hate About You.
I'm not going for best. I'm going for favorite. And for me, favorite is rewatchability. Like rewatchability for me is a huge factor. Like it's just like I'm not going to put on The Matrix every month, you know, whereas like I would absolutely put on 10 Things I Hate About You in the background every month. I'm not even kidding. The writing in that movie is fantastic. The comedy in that is fantastic. The talent in that movie is outstanding. Like you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Heath Ledger in his prime. By the way,
I'm not denying it's a bad film. I'm not denying that it's a good film. Just I'm surprised, Z-Man. You never go for the comedy. So you surprised me today.
Yeah,
you have more depth to you than I realized.
10 Things I Hate About You is such a guilty pleasure favorite because it's a rom-com, it's a romantic comedy. But I remember hearing, I mean, like we learnt about it in year 11 in advanced English, and how, you know, it's an adaptation, a very loose adaptation of Taming of the Shrew. You know, Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. And I was just like, oh, what is this? This is a romantic comedy. And I just fell in love with it, man. Like I was just like, it's got this humor that is just very edgy and biting, but at the same time, it's very, you know, it wears its heart on its sleeve, and it's just a fantastic movie from start to finish. And if I was to choose best movie of 1999, I would without a doubt choose The Matrix. I think you can't overlook the technological leaps and bounds that movie took.
It's without a doubt the most influential of all these films.
Well, I mean, the other one that would be in contention is Fight Club. I mean, like Fight Club.
Oh fuck!
Also,
that is pretty influential.
I mean,
as
like
well.
it's a David Fincher. I came very close.
You could argue The Sixth Sense was also pretty influential. Like that made twist cool.
Right. Exactly. No, for sure. American Pie also influential.
Fuck, yeah. Dude, I mean, fuck. I knew this was a good year, but yeah, you're right. American Pie kind of changed comedies.
Right, and American Beauty, from memory, won Best Picture that year. Like, I mean, you know, this is an astounding list of movies. Like 1999 was the year I started kindergarten, so that was kind of like that. That's how I remember it.
Another influential movie, The Blair Witch Project, pretty much started the found footage genre. It pretty much created a whole genre.
Not to mention that you have a Stanley Kubrick movie in there with Eyes Wide Shut. Being John Malkovich, Three Kings, Cruel Intentions. All of these movies mean something to someone. Sleepy Hollow. Colin loves Sleepy Hollow.
Dude, yeah. The Mummy obviously is a lot of people's favorite movie, but I also say don't let it go by. The South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, Uncut. That movie is fucking great. Like it is. I love that movie to death. I've rewatched it so many times. I don't think I've ever watched a movie more times than did The Matrix. Especially, I remember this one day I was sick in bed and I had it on VHS, and I watched the fight scene in the dojo about maybe 20 times. When it ended, I rewinded, started again. I probably watched it at least 20 times. But yeah, like look, we haven't even mentioned like
huge year. I'm just going to read off some of these movies. So The Matrix won, The Mummy came second, 10 Things I Hate About You came third. Tied for fourth was Notting Hill and Fight Club. Tied for fifth was Toy Story 2, Galaxy Quest, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Galaxy Quest is amazing. I own that movie on Blu-ray, dude. I love it. It's an amazing movie. Carlos added a movie called Go. I've never heard of it.
Dude, I haven't heard of Notting Hill. What's that? Who's in that?
It's a movie directed by the guy who did Love Actually, Hugh Grant. I believe Julia Roberts. It's a rom-com. Yeah. It's one of those British rom-coms. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, The Insider. That is a Michael Mann movie. Michael Mann directed Heat and Collateral. Amazing director. Any Given Sunday, starring Al Pacino. The Sixth Sense, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's big one. American Pie, Boys Don't Cry, Varsity Blues, Blues Streak, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Pretty much made prequels a thing. That movie, kind of influential.
American Beauty. Analyze This. Analyze This is great. That's got Jack Nicholson and Billy Crystal.
Yep.
I believe Jack Nicholson and Billy Crystal from memory. She's All That. Blast from the Past. The Iron Giant. That is a big animation milestone.
Yeah.
Magnolia, that is a Paul Thomas Anderson film, which is also, I haven't seen, but I heard really good things. Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton movie. Office Space is amazing. If you haven't seen Office Space, check it out. Mystery Man. Colin and I, by the way, we reference Office Space on the podcast all the time.
Is Mystery Man separate to Mystery Men?
I've never heard of both of those movies.
Okay.
Eyes Wide Shut is Stanley Kubrick's, I believe, last movie, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And I think that's the movie that they met and got married on.
Damn.
So the Blair Witch Project, The Green Mile came very close to being my favorite. And, you know, it's not if it weren't for the fact that it was nearly 3 hours and really not an amazing rewatchable movie, that might be my favorite. Like the Green Mile is an astounding accomplishment in filmmaking. I love that movie. Big Daddy is also another huge childhood favorite.
Big Daddy. Yeah. A lot of people love that movie.
The Talented Mr. Ripley, being John Malkovich, of course, Spike Jonze movie, Three Kings, Cruel Intentions,
Cruel
Boondock
Intentions.
Saints. I know.
Damn, that movie.
We all watched that movie for one specific reason. Yeah.
Boondock Saints, another big one.
Man on the Moon.
Fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna we got a lot of engagement this week on the MDF game, so I'm gonna go through a couple of comments. So I do apologize if I missed some. Jose, member of the Green Room, says, given this podcast, I am shocked the Mummy wasn't initially on here. And I fucking forgot it, dude. I knew I was forgetting a big one. Patrick Harrington just goes, fuck me, Matrix. Jesse Privet says, this is a hard one because I love Fight Club, but come on, man, Matrix. Patrick Harrington said, I know 99 was a good year, but holy shit. Brooke Moss says, I never really thought about how many amazing movies came out in 1999. Carlos Freitas says, it's not the best one in the bunch, but damned if my favorite isn't 10 Things I Hate About You. God damn it, Carlos, I love it. Danielle Cutter says, I can't even tell you the number of times I've said The Mummy can't be beaten in my book. Jonesy Kale says, I watched The Matrix for the first time last night.
Wow.
And she said, I'm surprised Green Mile isn't higher up in this list. Thank you so much for everybody's contributions. I really appreciate it. I love when these MDF games get going and everyone gets involved. It's really fantastic to see. If you guys are interested in joining future MDF games, head to our Facebook group called The After Party.
Yeah. And that's it for this episode of Midnight Double Feature. And you must be very proud of me, Zoheb. I went this entire episode without talking about Mortal Kombat. I really want to talk about those screenshots, but I'm waiting for the trailer because I know. I know you have no speculation.
You know my answer. You know my answer. If you were like, let's talk about these photos, I'll just be like, you're fucking kidding me.
You would just listen to me and be very quiet. But once the trailer comes out, you'll have something to go on. So
you know what? Seeing as we're here, all right, give me your impressions, just very brief impressions on the stills.
I'm more skeptical than most. I love how authentic it looks. I am very concerned about what we're hearing about how it stars a new original character. I've read a lot of the leaks too about the script, and this sort of confirms a lot of that. But look, at the end of the day, I'm really stoked on how true to the source material the costumes are. Even if Jax does look like Steve Harvey. Look, I'm trying to hold my judgment till I see a trailer. But I think at the end of the day, as long as I get some really good action scenes with some of my favorite characters, and they don't fuck up the lore too much, I will walk away happy. There's been so many shit video game movies, and we just had Monster Hunter, so please be good. Please be good. But so far, I'm doing the shot of Sub-Zero makes me really happy, particularly. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
First time director.
Yeah, look, they've got a good writing team. If you look at the writers, a lot of them have done some good stuff before. One of them worked on 22 Jump Street, which I think is incredibly written. But that's also like a different genre. I'm just hoping that James Wan pulls through on me because I like James Wan. Yeah, and I know that James Wan was like, for a long time, he was like, we will not make this if it's not R. And that's why it took so long to get this movie together. So, yeah, also, I want to say also, I think I love how much Asian representation is in this film. It makes me feel like at least the fight scenes will feel very martial arts and authentic. So don't let me down, guys. Don't let me down. But yeah, look, we'll wait to see a trailer. I'm sure by next episode, the trailer would have dropped by then. I am a bit concerned that it doesn't come out till April and we still haven't seen a trailer. I feel like that's a sign to be worried by, but who knows? We'll see.
Maybe. It's 4 months. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like it could go either way, I guess. You know, I feel like this movie, it could be really good, but there's a lot of potential for it to fuck up and be bad. I think a lot more fans are a bit more optimistic than me, but I'm saving most of my judgment for the trailer, which is so hard to do. So hard to do. Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for putting up with me there, bro. Letting me get my rocks off there. And thanks for everybody else for hanging out with us today at Midnight Double Feature. As always, find us on our Patreon, and you can hear all these cool new episodes that are released behind the scenes. Speaking of video game movies, Colin and I just did Double Dragon. That one, well, that's a fucking movie. I had so much fun doing that episode though. It was a lot of fun. And also, yeah, keep an eye out, get some merch, midnightdoublefeature.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the works. We love you. Be safe. Take care. Give your mum a kiss. I'm Matt. That's Zoheb. Laters.